What's up, guys? Welcome to my second rant of the day. And it looks like I'm going to be reminiscing the good old days of wrestling again. About a wrestling pay-per-view that aired on this day 17 years ago. I looked up to see if the 17th anniversary was today, and it is. And the wrestling pay-per-view that I'm going to be reminiscing or reviewing that aired on this day 17 years ago on pay-per-view, the 2002 WWF No Way Out. Yep. I'm going to be reviewing the 2002 No Way Out. That took place at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it was the last No Way Out pay-per-view under the World Wrestling Federation name, months before the company had to change their name to World Wrestling Entertainment. And this pay-per-view clearly focused on the main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Chris Jericho for the undisputed World Wrestling Federation Championship. And the biggest storyline for No Way Out was Vince McMahon bringing the NWO to the World Wrestling Federation. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into these matches that aired at the 2002 WWF No Way Out. The first match was the kickoff show that aired on Sunday Night Heat on MTV. The Late Big Boss Man versus DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, for the European Championship. DDP won by disqualification. Now, here's the actual first match of the 2002 No Way Out. The tag team turmoil, whatever that word is, determined who will be the number one contender for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. Albert and Scotty 2 Hotty versus the Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys versus APA versus Christian and Lance Storm versus Billy and Chuck. So Albert and Scotty 2 Hotty gets eliminated by Christian and Lance Storm. The Hardy Boys eliminates Christian and Lance Storm. The Hardy Boys eliminated the Dudley Boys. Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo eliminates the Hardy Boys. And the APA wins the match after Bradshaw, or JBL, pinned Billy Gunn after he hit him with the clothesline from hell. So the APA were the number one contenders for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. To who they had to face, Taz and Spike Dudley, for those titles at WrestleMania 18. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a review on that, WrestleMania 18, but we'll see. I should, because it was the last WrestleMania pay-per-view of the Attitude Era and under the WWF name. My picks to win this tag team match were the Hardy Boys, Albert and Scotty 2 Hotty, and the APA. And the APA won. Ron Simmons and JBL. Back when it was known as Bradshaw and Farouk. So the next match was Rob Van Dam versus Goldust. Rob Van Dam executed a Rolling Thunder move on Goldust for a near fall. After RVD missed a 5-star frog splash, Goldust executed a DDT on RVD for a near fall. Goldust attempted a curtain call on RVD, but RVD countered the move and executed a spinning heel kick on Goldust for a near fall. Goldust attempted a bulldog on RVD, but RVD moved out of the way and performed a step over spinning heel kick on Goldust. Then RVD hits Goldust with the 5-star frog splash, and then 1, 2, 3. RVD wins the match. I wanted RVD to win, and I'm glad he won that match. I'm not really a big fan of Goldust, so I'm glad RVD won that match. Next match was Spike Dudley and Taz versus H-Town's Booker T and RIP Test for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. Taz and Spike Dudley were the tag team champions. So Test pins Taz, but the referee noticed that Taz was trying to cheat using the ropes to win this match. Really, Tess? Why would you use the ropes to pin Taz trying to cheat and win this match? Are you fucking serious? After Tess argued with the referee, Taz forced Edge to tap out to the Taz mission, and Taz and Spike Dudley won and retained their World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. And they went on to WrestleMania 18 to defend those titles against the APA. Who do I want to win in this match? Of course, Taz and Spike Dudley. But Tess, you try to cheat using the ropes to pin Taz to win the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. And the referee caught you red-handed trying to cheat using the ropes to pin Taz. Alright, the next match would be Edge versus William Regal for the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Championship in a brass knuckles on a pole match. Determine whoever grabs the brass knuckles on top of the pole gets to use it on their opponent. And this was also a rematch from the 2002 Royal Rumble. William Regal retrieved the brass knuckles, but Edge knocked William Regal off the top rope. William Regal knocked the brass knuckles out of the ring to prevent Edge from using them. Edge performed a spear on William Regal and retrieved the brass knuckles. And William Regal had another brass knuckles out of he pulled it out of his tights, hits Edge with them, pinned Edge, and retained his Intercontinental Championship. Damn, I actually wanted Edge to win that match and regain his Intercontinental Championship. And thank God this was a no disqualification match. So William Regal, you actually got lucky. And it was a tough loss for Edge, but now since he had to get in the back of the line, who's going to be William Regal's next opponent for the Intercontinental Championship? We never know. We just have to wait and see. Alright, the last three matches were the main events. The first main event was my boy, The Rock versus The Undertaker. I would read how this match went down, but if you remember watching the 2002 No Way Out, then you should know who won that match. All I can say that it was going great until Vince McMahon tried to stick his nose into The Rock's business. Just like at the 2001 Vengeance, Vince McMahon stuck his nose into The Rock's business to prevent The Rock from winning against Chris Jericho and retain his world championship. Now in this pay-per-view, Vince McMahon was trying to prevent The Rock from winning his match against The Undertaker. But It all started when Ric Flair came out and attacked The Undertaker, but The Undertaker performed a big boot on Ric Flair. Then The Undertaker tried to cheat, trying to hit The Rock with a steel pipe, but The Rock applied with the sharpshooter. Then Vince McMahon came out and stuck his nose into The Rock's business, distracting the referee. And think The Rock had enough of that damn Vince McMahon sticking his nose into his business. The Undertaker performed the Tombstone Piledriver on The Rock, but Ric Flair hit The Undertaker with a steel pipe. The Rock gave The Undertaker the rock bottom, then 1, 2, 3. The Rock wins that match. If you remember watching this pay-per-view, you should all know that The Rock won this match. And guess who I wanted to win? The Rock. Because like I said before, he and Stone Cold Steve Austin are my favorite wrestlers of all time. Not just from the Attitude Era, but my two favorite wrestlers of all time. I'm so happy that The Rock won this match against The Undertaker. Even though Vince McMahon was trying to stick his nose into The Rock's business and The Undertaker tried to cheat, hit The Rock with a steel pipe. Next main event match was the Cerebral Assassin, the COO of the WWE, the King of Kings, the Game Triple H, versus the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, determine who will be the #1 contender to face Chris Jericho for the Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania 18. And Stephanie McMahon, the wife of Triple H, the daughter of Vince and Linda McMahon, and the baby sister of Shane McMahon, was the special guest referee. Kurt Angle attempted a clothesline on Triple H, but Triple H avoided the move, resulting Kurt Angle knocking out Stephanie McMahon, and Tim White replaced Stephanie McMahon as the referee. Kurt Angle attacked referee Tim White and performed a low blow on Triple H. And Stephanie McMahon returned as the special guest referee. Kurt Angle applied the ankle lock on Triple H, but Triple H countered the hold, resulting in knocking out once again Stephanie McMahon. After Kurt Angle missed a steel chair shot, Triple H performed the pedigree on Kurt Angle and attempt to pin, but Stephanie McMahon attacked referee Tim White with a low blow. Really, Stephanie McMahon? Triple H, your husband, had this match won until you had to hit referee Tim White with a low blow. Damn you, Stephanie McMahon. Triple H gave his wife, Stephanie McMahon, the pedigree. Then Kurt Angle hit Triple H with a steel chair and gave him the angle slam. Then 1, 2, 3. Kurt Angle wins the match and becomes the #1 contender for the Undisputed World Wrestling Federation title. When I thought Triple H won the 2002 Royal Rumble and he was the #1 contender for Chris Jericho's Undisputed title at WrestleMania 18. But after this pay-per-view, Kurt Angle beat Triple H to become the new #1 contender for Chris Jericho's Undisputed Championship. That's fucked up that Stephanie McMahon screwed her husband Triple H over. But this was before Triple H and Stephanie got married. They played husband and wife on the show, but in real life they were boyfriend and girlfriend. They didn't actually get married until 2003. Now we get to the main event. My other boys, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Y2J Chris Jericho for the Undisputed World Wrestling Federation Championship. Stone Cold Steve Austin fought fought with Chris Jericho in the entranceway where Stone Cold threw Chris Jericho into the production trucks while the referee was distracted. While the referee was distracted, Chris Jericho hit Stone Cold Steve Austin with a low blow and gave Stone Cold 2 lion salts. Chris Jericho applied the walls of Jericho on Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Stone Cold touched the ropes, forcing Chris Jericho to break the hold. After Chris Jericho retrieved the Undisputed Championship belts, the referee was knocked down. Stone Cold Steve Austin performed a spinebuster on Chris Jericho onto the title belt and attempted Stone Cold Stunner, but Chris Jericho countered the move into a breakdown onto the title belt for a near fall. After the referee was knocked down again, Stone Cold Steve Austin forced Chris Jericho to submit the walls of Jericho. Then Stone Cold Steve Austin gave Chris Jericho the Stone Cold Stunner, and you won't believe who came down and interfered during this match and attacked Stone Cold Steve Austin. The NWO, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. Really, NWO? Are you fucking kidding me? You had to come down and stuck y'all noses into Stone Cold Steve Austin's business when he had this match won, gave him Chris Jericho the Stone Cold Stunner, and then y'all had to come out and attack Stone Cold Steve Austin. Scott Hall hit Stone Cold Steve Austin with his own Stone Cold Stunner, while Chris Jericho was helping the referee. Chris Jericho pinned Stone Cold Steve Austin and retained his Undisputed Championship. After the match was over, Stone Cold Steve Austin fought the NWO, but Scott Hall used Stone Cold Steve Austin's Stone Cold Stunner again, and Hulk Hogan spray painted the NWO initials on Stone Cold Steve Austin's back. And that was the end of that pay-per-view. Oh, man. My thoughts about this match. It was going great until the NWO had to came out and stuck their damn noses into Stone Cold Steve Austin's business. Stone Cold had this match won until the NWO came out and attacked Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Chris Jericho definitely got lucky. And it was definitely a tough loss for Stone Cold, but now since he had to get in the back of the line, Kurt Angle was Chris Jericho's next opponent for the Undisputed title. Oh, you just wait till my next rant tomorrow as I celebrate 17 years of the February 18, 2002 episode of Monday Night Raw, where Stone Cold Steve Austin calls out the NWO so he wanted to open up a can of whoop ass on all three of them, causing Stone Cold Steve Austin his Undisputed Championship match against Chris Jericho. But looking back on this pay-per-view 17 years later, it's definitely one of the best pay-per-views of the Attitude Era. This was back when pay-per-views like this was rated TV-14. And I damn sure miss these days when pay-per-views like this was rated TV-14. So with that being